A disturbing new trend to come out of the US has Australian doctors and parent groups worried. Teenagers are reportedly buying cheap tattoo guns on the internet, then inking each other in so-called backyard tattoo parties.
Joining us now with more on this shocking fad and what the health consequences are, Dr. Cindy Pan. Good morning to you, Cindy.
Good
nice
morning.
to see you.
How are you?
How dangerous is this?
Well, potentially it's very dangerous. Obviously, inexperienced amateur tattooists, you can obviously botch up that tattoo for one thing and get infections and septicemia. But one of the big risks as well is they can actually transmit hepatitis C and other bloodborne viruses, because even though they sometimes are aware of changing the needle, they don't realise that sometimes the blood refluxes back through the equipment into the ink container itself. So, so even if you change the needle...
take the blood out of one child and put it back into the other.
Yeah. So it's actually very dangerous, and there have already been 2 reported cases of hepatitis C being transmitted through these tattoo guns.
And once you have hepatitis C, you can't get rid of it, is that correct?
Yeah. It's a very serious illness. I mean, one of the famous people to get hep C from tattooing is Pamela Anderson, but obviously the majority of hep C people get it from intravenous drug use, sharing needles and that kind of thing. But if you're sharing a tattoo gun, unfortunately, even if you change the needle, you still can transmit bloodborne viruses like hep C.
It just sounds like Russian roulette, doesn't it?
I think kids are ill-informed, but obviously, even if it wasn't for the infection risk of the bloodborne viruses, there are other kinds of skin infections that can arise from amateur tattooing. But obviously, the other issue is simply that tattoos are permanent, and if you've got an amateur doing it in a party atmosphere where we don't know, but there could be alcohol and other substances involved. I mean, people's judgment, assuming their judgment is good at the best of times, but not necessarily in those situations with peer pressure and various other factors at play.
Okay, because teenagers are of course driven by pop culture, and a lot of celebrities, and including sports stars these days, have tattoos.
Yeah, well, some of them are covered in tattoos, and some of them are those kind of professional variety, but a lot of them are these sort of homemade looking ones, like I mean Justin Bieber's, it looks like someone has just kind of had a go there, and there are quite a lot of tattoos that have this kind of amateur or homemade kind of appearance, and this might further encourage teenagers and inexperienced people to think, oh, I reckon I could have a go at that.
I'm guessing the sort of gear we're talking about, which you're going to buy on the internet out of Asia somewhere, you can't regulate this stuff, can you really? I mean, there should be regulation, but you can't.
Well, I think it would be quite difficult, but it would be good if there was some legislation put in to make this sort of thing illegal. But obviously, for teenagers, ideally, it'd be good if the parents could have, a bit more say over what they were doing and just supervise their activities a bit more. I think that kids having a lot of money and having less than ideal supervision, then a lot of things can start to go wrong.
Because what's the situation with tattoo parlours? You have to be 18, don't you, before you can get a tattoo in a tattoo parlour?
Yeah, usually you have to sign some form of consent, and if you're under 18 then you need some parental consent. But yeah, I think tattooing is a serious and permanent and potentially very disfiguring thing, and if it's not done correctly, obviously you can have scarring, and you can get infections. All kinds of things can go wrong.
If this is happening illegally away from the home, when the kids are drinking they shouldn't be drinking, there's not much that parents at home can do, because kids aren't going to say, I'm going to get drunk and go to a tattoo party, right? Yeah,
well, again, I think that sometimes when kids have a lot of access to funds and resources, then they've got more capacity to be buying stuff on eBay and purchasing substances, all kinds of things. I think there needs to be some balance. Obviously, you don't want to have your kids sort of locked up as if they're in jail. You've got to give them some degree of freedom, but I think it's really important for parents to try and keep in touch with what their kids are up to. What sorts of influences are being brought to bear on them.
All very real concerns, and important ones too, thank you.
It's a pleasure.
And not to mention, some teenagers are very bad spellers. So that's
yes.
another big danger.
Yes, and remember, these things are there for life, guys. I used to work with Kerry Ann, and when I Love Kerry Ann tattooed on my back, who knew? Who knew I'd be sitting here now?
After the break, just blending into the crowd, the baby squirrel who's